Keyword is integration, and integration on different levels, basically 3 different levels. One level is the individual. I mean, we as a consultant, as coaches and trainers, we are facing leaders in general, so that they are individuals. And what we are striving for is integration. And integration means that, like in the human potential movement a couple of decades ago, that everyone can really use their full potential. Sometimes it's inhibited by fears, sometimes it's inhibited by unconsciousness, but we offer ourselves as a partner to increase consciousness. And with that increased consciousness, the individuals are able to move forward, to make the next step, not necessarily really to reach a vision, but it's not very often it's not necessary to make that huge step. It's rather so what's next, and to have that kind of constant development towards your goals and towards using everything you have. So we love to be a partner and support those leaders in becoming what they want to be. At some point, it's good to know what you want, but then you have to connect with others. This is another field of our business where we facilitate team meetings, where we coach teams towards high performance, which is an interesting thing, and it becomes more and more necessary in this global context with remote teams, with intercultural differences, adding to that big enough challenge of, accepting your difference, and with an agreement becoming or creating a synergy where 1 and 1 is even more than the sum of it. It becomes 3 or even 5, which is much better. So integration also on that level. And then you can take it one step further. And in the corporate context we are working in, a team, and as we spoke about it earlier, a team has no value in itself. It has to be matched with what is the goal? What is the reason for being for the team? And you can have different challenges. I mean, you can say, we want to climb the Himalayas. And if you have that idea, suddenly the team has to become very close. People have to trust each other. People have to really collaborate, be able to resolve their conflicts. But if you are on a golf course and you are in a golf flight and you do the stuff together, basically, but everyone has its own scorecard, at the end, it doesn't really count it's not so important how strongly connected you are. So depending on the background, and that's basically from Gestalt theory, a nice picture, the background defines the identity of the figure in front. So the background of your targets, your organization, that defines what kind of team you need to be, and that defines the rules, the mutual expectations you should have. The perception is very subjective. Imagine you would have blue-colored glasses and you would look at a lemon. What color does the lemon have? You could say blue-colored glasses, lemon, maybe it's green. The lemon still is yellow. Of course it is. The way you look at it, that is which makes it blue or green or whatever. So in individual development or team development or even corporate development, it's helpful to refocus a little bit to that underlying world of perception, because perception is also driven by attitude, and we need consciousness about those levels of, how do we perceive the world and what are the underlying attitudes, because this drives so strongly our behavior. I like behavioral coaching and training a lot, because at some point you need to know how to do things, but what really drives, for example, innovation is risk-taking. That's an attitude, Or if you want managers to become good leaders, you need to reflect on their ability to constructively deal with conflicts. So some people are shying away from conflicts, not because they don't know how to talk, it's because they are afraid of the probably negative outcome of the bad relation which might result out of this conversation. So what we are striving for, and most companies do, is this kind of intrinsic motivation. But where does that come from? And again, you are on that level of attitude and awareness. So you might want to talk about self-responsibility, which I think is a nice English word. It's self-responsibility, the responsibility to react to something. And we spoke about that lemon example earlier. And I said, blue-colored glasses, and you look at it and you might think it's green. And taking responsibility for your perception would be a cool starting point for a lot of things, because you would say, I'm not a victim. I have the freedom of choice, but it requires that you put yourself into the center of the action, that you are not a victim. It's that the world around me has to change in order me to become happy, because, this is probably not going to happen. It needs you as a starting point. And if you are not motivated, it's you who is not motivated. So who's responsible for you not being motivated? It's you. So, for example, that's a strong underlying attitude, this kind of, I'm responsible, which doesn't mean that I'm guilty. That's a different story, but I'm responsible for doing it. And then this is the chair I can get up from and start, making decisions. Say, is it something I have to accept? Is it something I might change into a situation which I'm more like? IHK coaches and trainers are generally more interested in the presence. So what is going on now? What do we want now? And okay, sometimes the thing needs a little bit of direction, and then you look into the future and say, so where is this supposed to go? So that, the dialogue you are having, that this has a direction. But it's not so much about, I have a strong vision and then how can we get you there? It's rather creating this consciousness within you, and that generates energy from within. And then the question comes, so what's next? At the end, and I mean, that's not news. At the end, it's always about human beings, whether they are motivated, whether they identify with what they do or not. And if they are not, you might look for an easy fix, like you might look for a Band-Aid, buy you some external consultants who tell you how to do it. But we don't think that is a long-term sustainable strategy. It's rather advantageous to go on that level. And the colleagues and I, we invite you to take us on your journey.